Hi, friends. Kathy with Kathy Brown Nutrition here. Happy Wednesday and welcome. I am a registered dietitian nutritionist specializing in working with active women over 40. And I apologize, I'm a few minutes late going live today, but I wanted to pop in and say hi and talk about one of my favorite topics and one of the biggest things that I've learned as a dietitian working specifically with women over 40. And it's that one of the biggest mistakes we make is not eating enough. And whether that's intentional or unintentional, it happens all the time. And this may be sabotaging your goals. And so I kind of wanted to talk about the why. Why is this sabotaging your goals? What is the risk involved in this? And why are we so intent on eating less and less and less? And I want to say, you're not alone. So many women do this. And so I want to kind of jump into, first of all, the reason most women eat less and less and less is because as we get older, it becomes harder to manage weight, specifically that weight in the midsection. And this is normal. As I've talked about before, one of the big things that happens as we get older, as we move away from our prime reproductive years and get closer to that dreaded menopause, is our hormones, our reproductive hormones start to change. They decline gradually, but as they're declining, they don't do it in a straight line. There's some pretty erratic fluctuations that are unpredictable, and that leads to changes in our bodies. And one of the biggest ones that most women notice and try to resolve is gaining weight right in the midsection. And the first thing they do, most women, is they start cutting back on how much food they're eating, whether they're cutting back on overall calories or they're cutting out specific foods. One of the biggest ones that I see is they start cutting carbs. They are restricting often to a level that puts their intake below what their body actually needs to function efficiently and to keep you feeling good, looking good, and healthy. When that happens, you're actually sabotaging the goal of maintaining or losing weight. Here is why. So, when you cut calories below what your body actually needs, your body starts to conserve energy. And one of the biggest ways that it conserves energy to make sure that it still has plenty of reserves to keep that heart pumping and those lungs going is it slows down your metabolism. Metabolism, we've all heard the word, but what does it really mean? Metabolism is how your body takes the foods that you eat and converts it into energy. And so it actually requires energy to convert your food into energy. And so when your body is low on energy and it feels the need to save up in case you don't feed it enough later on, then it slows that metabolism. It slows down how quickly it's converting your food into energy and instead pushes some of that to stored fat. And because it's stressful for your body to have to adjust and adapt to these lower energy levels than it actually needs, that stress raises a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol has a tendency to send signals in your body to store that fat in the midsection. So that's why we tend to gain in that midsection, not just because of under eating. Obviously, this is a shift that happens when your hormones start to change, regardless of whether you're eating enough or not. But a lot of it has to do with increased stress as we get older. And that can be somewhat associated with the changes in the hormones. Because those reproductive hormones play so many roles in your body, including having a role in your body's stress responses and how it metabolizes food. But unfortunately, what we're told constantly and have been told for generations, that if you want to lose weight, if you want to maintain weight while you're gaining, you have to just eat less and exercise more. Well, over 40 as a woman, that doesn't work anymore. And particularly if you're active. If you're active and you're cutting calories while you're exercising a lot, then that just increases the response of stress. And it can, quite honestly, not only lead to a decline in metabolism that will make it harder for you to maintain weight long term, but it can cause some health concerns such as bone loss. When those hormones start to decline, you're not only prone to having higher levels of stress and adding fat in that midsection, but you're also more prone to losing bone density, which can over time lead to osteopenia or osteoporosis if it continues like that. Again, bone is a living tissue, so it requires energy to maintain that bone density. Another thing that we're prone to losing that can help keep us healthy, keep us strong, keep us active, and it helps to support those bones is, as we start to lose those hormones, we also become more prone to losing muscle. So that muscle, really, really, really important as we get older, because it just, well, I mean, I probably don't have to explain it to you, but elderly have a tendency to have lower muscle mass. And then that's when falls start to happen, bones break, and the immune response, it just can lead to a lot of other health issues. So we want that muscle not only to help keep us stable and keep us healthy and active, but also because muscle actually uses more energy than other tissues in your body. So basically, muscle has a higher metabolism than other tissues. And so the more muscle you have, the higher metabolism. So cutting back on your food because the problem with dieting, restricting, and cutting back your intake below what your body needs is that eventually, like I said, that metabolism comes down as you cut your energy intake, your calorie intake. And when that metabolism comes down, eventually you're not going to be able to lose weight. That metabolism is going to be so low that the only way to continue to lose weight would be to continue to lower your calorie intake, your energy intake. And there's a limit to how low you can go before you're actually physically starving yourself. And we absolutely do not want that. But even beyond that, when you lower that, when you're continuously lowering that metabolism, lowering your intake, that's going to make it harder, 5-10 years down the road to maintain your weight. You will start gaining, and it's probably going to happen much more rapidly the lower you allow that metabolism to go. Another issue with cutting back energy below what you need is all of the hormones in your body are interconnected. And so, the hormonal response to not having enough energy is that your body cuts back on how much of certain hormones it produces. And so those reproductive hormones are some of the hormones that are impacted. These hormones are already starting to decrease and they're fluctuating. And when you cut back energy to a level where your body feels the need to conserve energy, it's going to produce even less of those reproductive hormones. Well, those reproductive hormones also impact other hormones in the body, including thyroid hormone. And your thyroid is actually the master regulator of metabolism in your body. So when you cut back that energy intake, then your thyroid hormone production decreases, and that further decreases that metabolism. So it kind of creates this domino effect. And so, particularly as active women, you're burning a lot more energy, more calories on a daily basis than someone who doesn't exercise. And so you have to be very mindful of making sure you're fueling your body properly, because it's easier to go into that deficit where you're consuming less than your body needs to maintain regular, normal, healthy function. So if you're starting to notice some key signs like fatigue that you don't normally have, brain fog, and by brain fog, I just mean like not really being able to focus. If you've started to notice that despite the fact that you're cutting back on your energy intake, you're eating less, you're still gaining that belly fat, that could be a sign that you're actually eating too little. Another is emotional changes. So with this, it's kind of hard to tell, because with the changes that are occurring in your hormones as you move out of the primary productive years closer to menopause, you're likely to experience some mood changes, whether that's just general irritability or mood swings. But when you don't eat enough, it tends to actually be worse. Basically, your body needs energy to maintain your mental health, your brain function. So that may be one of the first areas that you start to notice changes. And quite frankly, if you're just hungry all the time, maybe you're not eating enough. So I wanted to kind of put this out there. This is a hard one for a lot of people to get on board with, because we've been told so much for so long that the only way to lose weight or to maintain weight is to eat less and exercise more. And a lot of people will still tell you that. And it just isn't the case when you start to bring in to the equation these predictable hormones, and we're really just starting to scratch the surface of how much we know about how these hormones play a role in our long-term health and weight maintenance and all of that good stuff. Now, I do kind of want to put this out there. I am not necessarily a weight loss dietitian, but I do talk a lot about this weight maintenance because it is such a point of concern for women who are going through this period of life. A lot of us have never dealt with having to worry about weight gain. Or those who have struggled with weight in the past, it's become more of an issue. And I want to let you know that I hear you and I get it. And, the reason I don't say that I'm a weight loss dietitian is because I don't come at it from the standpoint of weight loss at all costs. The idea that I tend to try and pursue with the women I work with is not restricting to lose fat, but more supporting the body to gain and support muscle so that the metabolism goes up and you can maintain or even lose weight from that perspective versus lose. Whereas, at this point, if you're restricting and just trying to lose fat and exercising excessively and cutting those calories, you're much more prone to not only be losing fat, but you're also losing muscle, which over the long term is just going to make it harder to maintain that weight. And I feel like I kind of just talked a little bit in circles there. So hopefully what I said makes sense. But the long and short of it is that cutting calories, cutting your intake, or cutting out particularly like whole food groups just in order to lose weight at this point in your life is not a successful long-term strategy, and it can actually cause more harm in the long run. And so, a lot of women that I've worked with before, like I said, this is kind of a hard concept to swallow because the medical community has told us for so long, the only way to lose weight is cut calories and exercise more. A lot of women still have to go through the process of trying all the diets before they finally say, this just isn't working. What else can I do? But this is a hill that I will die on. With all of the research I've done and the women that I've worked with, it really comes down to supporting your body by fueling it properly, getting the timing down, getting the nutrient balance down, getting the types of exercise down to what works for you to maintain and build muscle and help boost metabolism and stabilize those hormones as much as possible during this time, so that long term you have an easier go of maintaining weight and staying strong and active. All right. So I think I've gone on long enough on this, but like I said, this is the hill that I will die on. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. You can find me at kathybrownnutrition.com. And this is being streamed to Facebook group Fit, Fearless, and Fed Women Run the World, and as well to my YouTube channel. So I hope that you found this helpful. Feel free to send me messages and let me know of other topics that you'd love to hear about, or if you have questions, feel free to reach out. I love to hear from you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.